And just like million others all across America, Joe Biden's New Year's resolution has fallen apart by week 3. This is Epic Thoughts. I can't believe y'all voted for this clown. Anyways, it's time for another episode of Epic Thoughts. Oh. I am your host, Roman. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful evening. Thank you for watching us everywhere. Man, the support we've been getting lately has been mad love. So thank you for all the support. I am president of Heritage Park Productions. I'm also an artist, writer, producer, and fly human being. And I even do some chauffeuring on the weekends. So just got to get right into it. Man, thank you for tuning in again. I appreciate it. Don't forget, go to heritageparkprod.com, get the newest merch. And we got some new exciting things. We're going to do a special show from Texas next week. Carla is going to be there. Ivy might show up. Heidi will be there. Josiah will be there. We're going to Texas. We got some HP stuff that we're doing out there. So hopefully you can catch us this live next week. We're doing a remote show from this wonderful state of Texas next Tuesday. So hopefully y'all can catch us out there. So let's get right into it, man. There's so much to unpack. There's so much information I would love to share. I am disgusted in a good way. Like, ugh, if you get grossed out easily, this first segment may not be for you, but I gotta go there. I have to show it because it's that hilarious. Okay. First of all, if you haven't heard, there's a little bit of controversy surrounding Transformation Church's pastor Mike Todd. Mike Todd is a dude that I really, to this day, really appreciate this guy. I think he's vibrant. I think he's an excellent communicator. I think he's creative. I love his storytelling, unique abilities. I just enjoy everything he's doing. He's so illustrated. However, you can miss me on what he did this last Sunday. If you haven't been aware, he, he was doing an illustration. He was talking about the scriptures in the Bible where it talks about how Jesus spit in the mud and rubbed it in somebody's eyes, and he brought his brother up on the stage. And let's just say it gets a little bit weird. Again, if you are easily squeamish, be advised, this is going to make you scream a little bit more. But I just want to show you, this is the clip from Sunday. This is last Sunday at Transformation Church in Oklahoma. All right, check it out. This is his brother on the stage with him.
Something and you don't see it clearly yet, but you hear.
Hold on. He's okay. Did you catch that? He's spitting his hand. All right, let's keep going. Ugh, this is gross.
And this is where most people would not face Jesus anymore. What most people would do is turn away.
I would. Oh. Well.
What I'm telling you, is just as he's physically standing here, knowing what's coming, God's saying, can you physically and spiritually and emotionally be able to stand when getting the vision or receiving it might get nasty? I'm gonna say it in a point just like that. Receiving vision from God might get nasty. You mean, God, I just bought, in crazy faith, I just bought my dream car. And now you're gonna ask me to sell it back and ride in the hoopty again? Yeah, because the vision I'm about to give you.
Oh, he's mixing it.
It might get nasty.
He's rubbing it on his face.
And do you hear and see the responses of the people? What I'm telling you is how you just reacted, is how the people in your life will react when God is doing what it takes for the miracle. What are you saying? This man was blind, and what he was trying to do with this man is give him his DNA.
Okay. Okay. If you're still with me, that was gross. That was so gross. Okay. So get to add context to it if you haven't followed up on it. The gentleman on the stage with him is his actual his brother. Okay, so it's not like he grabbed it. It's not like your normal churches where like, I need a volunteer. Come up here, Brandy. It wasn't like one of those situations. I think this was pre-planned because you could tell by the way he was standing when it started. Look, I'll just pull it up one more time for
Changing some.
when it started. Well, you can tell when it
Don't see
starts.
it clearly yet.
He's already standing there. Look at him. He's already standing there like, yo, this about I can't believe I said yes to this. Yeah, bro. He said yes to this. It's about to go down. You can tell by that look at his face. He's like, ooh, yeah. Yeah, KJ. Can you this is ugh. Anyways, so to add context to it, this is his brother, right? This is his brother he's talking about. Okay. So he sped on his brother. And I also want to point out to you that he did a similar scenario, I believe 5, 6 years ago, but it was clay and he spit on the clay and it was his brother again. That's how I knew it was his brother because it was his brother the first time. He spit in clay, mixed it, and put it in his brother's eyes. Okay, so this is something that, first of all, again, if you don't know Michael Todd, he loves to be very illustrated in his messages. And I'm the same way. I love to be illustrated when I preach. It's one of my passions. I love it when I get to make a picture, which is why Heritage Park stuff has become so easy for me because I love doing that. I love the illustration of telling stories and stuff like that. So I get, you know, every week he produces something. He always has an illustration, or not all the time, but most of the time, Michael Todd has an illustration, and most of the time it's hitting hard. There's some little bit of controversy about one Sunday, he had a boat and he had rain, uh, like uh, rain special effects going down and stuff like that. I don't really know the controversy. Maybe somebody was making the reference that it cost them too much to do that and use church resources, but I don't know. If you got the resources and you got the vision, go ahead and do it. Here's my question that I need to ask. And this is a question that we used to talk about all the time on the show when I had Carla on here. Was everyone okayed this? Like, you didn't go to anybody and say, "Yo, I'm thinking about spitting on my brother." Like, he spit, but he didn't spit. He hocked a loogie, spit in his hands, and he shook it. He rolled his hand like he was got dice in his hand. He was like, and did like that, bro. I don't care if you're my brother, you're my mother. I and I get. Listen, I get the reference. I get the point, right? It makes complete sense from the reference standpoint. But from the illustrated standpoint, I think if he would have got the same point across, if he had just acted like, ugh, just I'm getting visions of it, of the spit dripping from his nose. Oh God, it. I would have got the same reaction if he acted like he was going to put it on the man's face and then was like, "Psych, I ain't gonna do it." Ha ha ha! Wipe his hands down. Nobody in his staff meeting, and it kind of makes you wonder. And this is one of the problems that I have with a lot of ministries. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something, right? Just because you have the resources to do it doesn't make it right. So he has the resources, he's got the power, and sometimes when you get to a certain level in success, whether it be in art, ministry, business, you get to a point where you are you're pretty much enclosed to the world, right? Nobody says no to you. Nobody gives you pushback. No one says, "Hey, I don't think you should do that certain thing." And I think Michael Todd is in that place now. He has become, not overnight, but since his preaching up, when I caught on to him, he started doing a series Crazy Faith, and now he's got the book out, Crazy Faith, the book, which I will recommend reading. It's one of the books that I decided to start reading last year. Didn't finish it. We'll finish it this year. We 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 kind of had a little agreement to play Crazy Faith on HPTV, so we played on HPTV. So it's we're familiar with Transformations Ministry and the people there. With that being said, this one's a miss for me. I don't think I don't think he got the point across the way that he wanted to. Well, if you were in, and here's the other side of it too. This is where it gets funky when it comes to church, right? Church is a community based relationship with each other, right? It's a community of people, like people who bond together. And when you have situations like this is where the you as a pastor you have to be kind of mindful of ministry of your community, because the thing about community is it's everything is in house, right? Everything is inclusive. So like the people who are part of that community understand the heart of the pastor, they understand the heart of each other, they are with each other, and things of that nature. Where the internet kind of does the church a disservice, I believe, is when you have people all over the world can look at something that happens in the community and not know the culture of that community and not understand the culture of that community and really attack it and get a misrepresentation of it. Now, I that's to defend in a way the the situation with Michael Todd. However, still gross. Um, for example, right now he's gotten flack from TMZ. Uh, He's gotten flack from TMZ. He's gotten flack from MSNBC. He's gotten flack from all these different things and all these different situations and stuff like that. So it's kind of like it's out there. People who don't know church making responses to it, saying, "Look, this crap is weird," and this is why we don't trust Michael Todd. This is why he's got this and he's got that, and also I will say, um, it's just not it wasn't the right time, meaning COVID being what it is, it's definitely not the place to do this kind of situation. It's definitely not the place. I don't know why nobody in his camp heard it, and maybe he didn't clear it with anybody because, like I said, when you get to a certain situation, when you get to a certain level, when it comes to ministry, you don't have to deal with people. People don't tell you no. People don't say, "Hey, bro, you probably shouldn't do this." People don't say, "You missed me on this one." I bring this up. I bring up a certain situation. So, I took over a ministry when I was young. It was a drama ministry and called One Way, and it was me and my girlfriend Melissa. We took it over, and we were super excited about it, but we were also kind of under this kind of pressure, even though I feel like the pressure at times was probably us putting it on ourselves. We had to produce a drama or a ministry like every week. We had to produce something, produce. And one day I had an idea, and I took all the kids that were in the youth group and gave them random farm animal names, like not names, but assigned them random farm animals. And I told them, yo, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a drama about uh, a farm, and we even called it the SYC farm. And I had somebody was a pig, somebody was a horse, somebody was a cow. It was just kind of, I thought it was creative. I did, and I said, so we practice on rehearsal. I had everybody on their all fours, hands and knees. These are girls and boys, and they're crawling around making farm animal noises. And if this was a warm up activity in a drama company, a drama theater company, that's one thing. We were practicing for a service. We were going to do this on a youth service, and in the drama, there were farm animals, and I had two people who were people who were going to tip over the cow. Okay, and the farm animals had a discussion prior to the people coming in because they could speak English, obviously. And in the conversation, they said, we're going to get them back. We're going to tip them. And then they joined forces and tipped them over. I had no idea what the point was. I didn't know where we were going with it, but that's what we did. So after we did that, we were rehearsing it. And I remember Melissa took me to the back. Missy took me back and she goes, I don't think we should do this. Like, are you sold on this idea? And that's how Missy kind of talks to me. She asks me questions. So are you sold on this? Are you sold on this idea? And I was like, yeah, I don't see what the problem is. And she was like, I remember her cousin was one of the characters. She goes, my cousin is a cow. Like, you have my cousin as a cow. You have all these kids on our hands and knees. And I was like, hmm. And I listened to her. Thank God, because that could have been catastrophe if I hadn't. But I listened to her and it was just bad. It was bad from the jump. We still laugh about this day. Like, do you remember the drama? Yeah, it was bad. And so thank God we didn't do it. But I've seen so many situations that happen in the church where because somebody has the idea or we get so excited that we can do something that no one asked, should we do that something? Another one. Here's another one. Another one. This one's hilarious. And nobody in the room thought this was a bad, and thank God this wasn't me. Nobody in the room thought this was a bad idea, right? Except for like me and Josiah. And it was already too late by this time. There was a youth group, and it wasn't our youth group. I wasn't a youth pastor, and neither was Josiah. It wasn't one of our ministries. We would not have allowed this. Youth groups, they do weird games, right? And sometimes they do funky games. Sometimes I've seen games where they had to feed somebody a burrito with your toes. That was gross. I never had games like that. I did have one where you had to drink a whole gallon of milk because I knew they're going to throw up and no one was going to do it. But somebody pushed their way through it and threw up all milk on, ugh. But we've seen weird youth group games. Well, this game, this youth pastor brought in a kiddie pool and he brought in a kiddie pool. And okay, not weird yet, but it's a youth group. So you're like, okay, let's see where this goes. The guy got a kiddie pool. So he brings in a kiddie pool. And then after the kiddie pool, he fills it up with Jello. True story. This is actually Bethany's youth group. Fills it up with Jello. And I remember I was like, he's filling it. Okay. I hope we don't eat this. This is gross. Like, I hate games where you have to eat something. Like, I don't want to eat that. And so the game wasn't about eating. The game was wrestling matches in the Jello. And I thought to myself, that's weird. Okay. And I seriously told myself, well, it's youth group. Like two dudes wrestling in Jello is weird, but it's not odd. No, bro. The first match was a girl and a girl. And I immediately sat there and said, no one told this dude this is not a good idea. Like nobody said, bro, y'all should not do this, maybe, maybe. And so to watch girls wrestle each other in Jello, I'm not kidding you, bro. This is a true story to see girls wrestle, minors wrestle each other in a kiddie pool of Jello. With the whole youth group cheering him on, like, yeah, go get her, Jennifer. And it's like, this is the most cringiest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. This is real and it happened, and it was unfortunate for so many people. So it goes back to that question. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should, right? Sometimes we got to take common sense. And we live in a world where everything's got to be so over the top, so like aggressively poignant that we don't think about whether we should make this message happen or not, because we're in the world of people don't even care about the quality of the content. People don't even care about the accuracy of the content. They just want to release the content because the response is what if if the response means more than getting the message across, you're already in a bad place, especially when it comes to people who are doing content for Christianity, right? Or they're doing content for ministry sake or ministry purposes. So that's just my little take on it. Now, back to the Michael Todd situation. He did release an apology. We have this apology here. And I really do love, personally, let me just say this again, not to cut ties with our relationship with Transformation Church. We love Transformation Church. HP and Transformation is like this. I don't have any beef with it. To me, I think it's weird. And like I said before, it goes on when TMZ makes a comment about it or TMZ posts a story about it, like you gotta remember that there's people who don't know God now that are more focused on the church than ever before. And when you do things that are kind of weird, when you do weird things, they're gonna respond. first of all, they don't know the gospel. They don't know the story that that's what happened, that Jesus spit in mud and put in a man's eyes. The other side of it is, Mike, Pastor Mike, not Jesus. You know, like if Jesus spit in mud and put in my eyes, listen, if Jesus Christ spit in mud and put it in my eyes, guess what? Cuz I better be able to see after that. That's just, if I can't see, then God just spit in my eyes. That's, process that, right? So even with Jesus been, I still don't understand. Listen, I don't understand the scripture well enough to understand why he had to spit in his eyes. And maybe it was just a faith move to see how much faith that man, the blind man had. But even that doesn't make sense because the blind man couldn't see. So Jesus didn't have to spit in the mud because the blind man was going to, he could put anything in that man's eyes. You know, the blind man was blind. So he didn't know that was spit anyways. But I don't, like I'm saying, I don't understand the story completely to its fullest, and I don't think many Christians do understand that story. So to make the illustration and then spit on somebody, and in the time that we were at with COVID being what it is just not a good look, man. It's goofy. It's goofy. I'd call it what it is. It's goofy. So I think he did have a miss on this one. I think somebody finally probably said something to him because the next day, this is what he released.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're having an amazing Monday. I just want to acknowledge what happened yesterday when the spit hit the fan. I watched it back.
He is hilarious. I just want to pause that, bro. This dude, he's hilarious when the spit hits the fan. Michael Todd is a G. If you don't follow this guy on YouTube, he's probably one of the best communicators of our time. But I think I really like this guy. All right, continue, Michael.
And it was disgusting. Like,
Yes,
that was gross. I want to
yeah.
validate everybody's feelings. That was a distraction to what I was really trying to do. I was really trying to make the word come alive and for people to see the story. But yesterday it got too live, and I own that. And I just want to make sure people know that we want to help people. We want people to see Jesus. We want people to feel loved. We want people who are desperate to be able to find hope. And I'm passionate about that, so much so that I try to do extreme things to help people get it. And yesterday it crossed the line. So I love you guys. I appreciate everybody that's been praying for us and sending us messages. And to anybody who just saw that 3-minute clip, I really encourage you to go back and watch the whole message. There's some truth and some life in there that could potentially change your whole life. When Jesus spit on that man, he was blind and then he could see. For my brother, who I love and honor so much, I just called him. He was bald before I spit on him, and he's still bald today. So no miracle here. And so next time I'll rethink and do something differently. I love everybody. I'm praying for everybody. And Transformation Nation, thank you for riding. We're going to represent God to the lost and found for transformation in Christ. All right, everybody, have an amazing week. Peace.
I agree with you, Anisha. I love Michael Todd. That's my dude right there. Yeah, I found his apology to be very genuine. Still a G. He's still a genius because he dropped some nuggets in there to be like, yo, if you just saw the 3 minutes, go back and watch the whole thing. Like, it's still good. And I guarantee you, we've been we've just been dealing with so much the crazy faith stuff. So we haven't really gotten into the new stuff. And we're supposed to be doing the crazier faith things too. And I think that's part of it, with the one that we saw on Sunday. So he's deep in it, man. And I'm pretty sure I didn't catch that message this last week, but I'm pretty sure it was a great message because, like I said, Michael Todd really knows his stuff and he really preaches. My whole point is, we can't get to the point where we're too far into this to where somebody can say, "Hey, bro, yeah, I don't think that was a good look. Like, I don't know if we should do this." You know, again, I say it all the time. Just because we could, does it mean that we should? Like, should we have done that? Eh, it's kind of questionable. It's kind of out there. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Tell me what you think. If do you think, now listen, don't get in the comment section, right, and start blasting Michael Todd, because we're not going to slam Michael Todd, and I'm not going to let you slam Michael Todd. I'm not, and that goes for so many other ministers. There's ministers that I don't rock with, and I'm gonna tell you right now. Again, I'm gonna make it clear: Michael Todd's a dude I rock with. There's ministers I do not rock with, and even then, I don't slam them. I may slam decisions, I may slam statements that they make, but I will not slam them as a person. So don't get on Epic Thoughts and start slamming Michael Todd. uh I'm not going to allow it. I will dismiss you from the comment section if I can. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I got that power. I don't know if I got that power. Just don't do it. Okay, just don't do it. But let me know your thoughts. Again, he's had some great illustrations. This is just one miss. And you know what? He's human, right? He's human. Humans make mistakes. We make errors. Sometimes we miss the mark. Some people miss it more than others. This is not something that I think we should cancel Michael Todd because he's failing his brother. Listen, I do think even if it wasn't COVID, even if we weren't in the middle of COVID, even if it was like 2019, 2018, I still would have thought this was gross. Okay. Because it was dripping off of his brother's face. Like, you could have just put water and said, "This is spit." And that's, I can't watch the video again. I just can't. I'm not gonna play it again. But it's just, let me know what you think, man. He has thousands, millions. I don't know. I don't know the number of how many people watch. And they're still, and it's not like he's not COVID conscious, because as of from my understanding and from conversations I've had with people on this team, they still are not having in-person service. Like, they're not having in-person services in Oklahoma. So when you hear the people in the background oohing and eyeing and making references, that's just their leadership and staff. So from my understanding, just the staff and the worship team are on the campus for the service, right? Just to have that, the interaction of a crowd saying amen and making noise. But for the most part, they're still closed to having service. Like, from what I'm understanding, is to this day, they're very COVID conscious, and their service are still in largely in part all online. So Anisha wrote, I like illustrations. I understand where he was coming from doing this one. Not all illustrations go the way pastors plan, so let's just add it to those. I agree with you 100%, Anisha. I love his illustrations. This is a miss. This is just a miss because it doesn't miss in context, right? I think that's what Anisha is saying as well. That this doesn't miss in context. This misses in getting the point across, because the point became about you just spit in that man's face, and not necessarily what the message brought in. I get what the message, but the we lost it in translation, and it happens. Like, I've seen so many different, I can tell you stories for days on days on days on days, because listen, I am the king. I'm not the king, but I when it comes to illustrations and messages, I love them, right? You I catch we cover a couple of illustrations that other churches do. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, we covered Bethel when the lady walked up on the stage with the Lord of the Rings outfit with the staff and screaming, "This too shall pass." Remember that illustration? And everyone thought, oh, and people who've been going to illustration churches, like, let me tell you something. The church that I came from, that's all we did. That's what we did. That's what I was there for. That's what they had me there for. That was my gig. That was, Anisha, that was your gig. We were there to create the illustrations that complement the messages. And so it was funny when Bethel had that lady come up on stage who wore the robe and the had the staff and was quoting lines from Lord of the Rings, and people say, "Dude, see what they're doing over there in Bethel?" And this was not TMZ, this was not CNN, this was church people. This was church people saying, "Look what they're doing over there at Bethel. Man, they should be ashamed of themselves." Now they're praying to another god. They're praying to Gargamel. I don't know, Smog or whoever. I'm not familiar. Forgive me for not knowing my Lord of the Rings references. I have not watched a single minute of the film of the trilogy. I've not watched a single minute of it. But I laugh because the person that told me spent years at the ministry and still goes to the church that I was at, where I did most of my illustrations from. And I was like, yo, we did illustration where the pastor walked in the Superman suit. Were we saying that the pastor was Superman? No, we weren't. We were taking what we had another illustration where the whole staff wore Matrix outfits. We were walking with black sunglasses and dodging bullets. Does that mean that Jesus is in the Matrix? No, we were making illustration references. So today in this and now we live in a day and age again taking what is experiencing in the community and putting it out for the world to see. The world is not going to understand it, right? And you can't blame, here's the problem, we can't blame the world for not understanding what's going on in the community because the church was supposed to be an effective for the community. So that person probably needs to go and find a church. Now, I'm not trying to dismiss that kind of ministry. I'm not trying to dismiss that in any way. I do think there needs to be a level of kind of understanding where we are at as a body, when we are relying on the content creators to tell the story of Jesus, right? We're still kind of moving from the content creators. So, for example, I realize now that when it comes to ministry, when I came up in ministry, when I started coming up in ministry, it was like you're either going to be the youth pastor, you're going to be the senior pastor, and there was no other option, right? Like, what if I like music and hate ties? What if I like rap? What if I like making dramas? Like, my gift can only be making dramas. And now, because of where technology is and where we have kind of moved into as a culture, you can live out the thing that you're called to do. And not to say that I wasn't called to be a pastor, because I still feel like I am, on a different level. By the way, HGC Heritage Grace Church, we're making plans to kind of get back in the swing of things in February. It just is going to look extremely different because we're not your ordinary Sunday morning service. You know, that's just not who we are. But we're going there is some gospel that needs to be preached, and I feel like God's given me a word, so we are going to go that route. So stay tuned, because February we're coming for you, baby. But anyways, my point is, there came a point where I wasn't really feeling satisfied in that area. So then what ended up happening was I started adding like other elements to my life to kind of express what God was doing in me. So I started telling stories through Superficially Deep. And then my music started to change, because my music started to change, because now everything wasn't like, I'm going to rap a song. What's the song going to be about? I'm going to rap about Jesus. I started rapping about broken relationships. I started rapping about, um, you know, civil situations. I started rapping about, you know, politics. I didn't really talk about politics, but, you know, I talked rapping about sex and all these other things. And what I'm realizing now is that God has called many people to do many different things. In the scripture, he talks about that. Some are called to be pastors, some evangelists, some prophets, some teachers. Now, he doesn't go into depth and say, I've also called people to be content creators. I've also called people to be rappers. But that scripture makes reference to, listen, there's not just one way to do ministry. There's just not one avenue. There's many different avenues, and it's dependent on the gift that God gave you, right? It's God's gift, and you can use it in His way. Now, I say all that to say, not everybody's called to be the pastor preaching from the pulpit. There's content creators, and I feel like maybe Michael Todd fits more of a. He's a great pastor from a preaching standpoint, right? I don't know any reference of him as a bad or a good pastor, but I tell you right now, if he's not a good pastor, I know he's a great content creator. He's great at creating illustrations, pictures with his words. He could be a great pastor. I'm not saying you can't be a pastor and a content creator, but like, this dude could write a script for a film, and I think the script film will be phenomenal because he's a great storyteller. So I think he could tell. He writes great books. If you haven't read any of his books, get one. Crazy Faith is a good place to start. He writes great books. So there's all these different ways that he can get his point across. So there's different ways to be responsive to that. And so with that being said, you don't you there's a different avenues, there's different avenues. But I said all that to say, the church needs to be understanding that and we do this in this world today. I'm going to take you to the next, we're going to go to another subject where I bring this all home. We don't live in a world where people put things in context anymore, right? People just don't put things in content anymore. Context, right? We take everything out of context. We took football plays out of context. We take basketball plays out of context. Like I cannot no longer watch. It's the most frustrating thing to watch video footage of a highlight reel of somebody doing something phenomenal in a basketball and a football game, and I'm like, wow, they must have won. No, they didn't win. The context of the sport was that they lost. So why are we celebrating? Why are we celebrating the special play of a losing player on a losing team? We have given up the right to be context because we need to fit our narrative in whatever amount of time frame our avenue our medium gives us. So Instagram gives you 59 seconds for a regular post, or else it's going to be a reel. So we have to, or even in a story, it's 26 seconds. So I gotta put as much context or as much of the visual aspect that I want to give you in 26 seconds or 59 seconds. Or Twitter they do it by characters, and I think they've raised that. Once it was 140 and now it's something else. So we have to take everything that what we were being fed is given to us out of context. For example, moving on, everybody's coming at Joe Rogan right now because Joe Rogan asks questions, but they take clips of his show and they put it out of context and they said, see, he's got problems with the COVID vaccination. I mean, truth be told, he does. See, he doesn't, he's telling people not to take the COVID vaccination. I watch his podcast from beginning to end. And I'm going to tell you, that's 2 hours of investment that you got to do. I've never heard him say, don't take it. I've heard him say, take care of your body. I've heard him say, be responsible. I've heard him say, lose weight, drink many fluids, make sure you have your vitamins right. So he gives a lot of context, but when you take it out of context, it sounds as if he's completely anti-vax. He's not anti-vax. He actually makes questions. He does make references like, should we vaccinate children? He makes that question very clear. Should we vaccinate children? He brings up studies. And now the people are going after him because of footage that they see out of context. Now, that is all well and dandy in the world, but it doesn't work in the ministry. It doesn't work in church because you can't take somebody's message, a piece of it, and make your whole understanding and reference off of a piece. You're going to take it out of context. And we already have this problem in the body already. People are already quoting scriptures completely out of context to begin with. So if you take something that they're preaching things out of context, we look very loopy. We look very weird. That's why you don't see me slam people, because I don't know the context of what you're saying. But I will say this. It gets to the point, and I go back to this, it gets to the point where we get so far gone into being so popular, and you got so many followers. I know that a lot of these pastors don't get no's. They don't get pushbacks, and that can be very dangerous. I know Stephen Furtick says things from the pulpit, and I'm like, what? What? Because nobody tells this dude no. I don't even know. I know that no one checks me on my messages because no one asked me. So what you gonna preach about? Or I don't have meetings with the people and they're like, this is my message, and I break it down point by point, and no one sits there and goes, huh, I don't know about that point, bro, because I don't have any like biblical scholars on my team like that. So we don't have that. So I have to be very careful because I could be going on a path and leading people on a road trip that they're not, and I'm not telling them the truth. This is why you have to be very careful where you go to church. Like, go to church, but pick it out very carefully. And some people are picking out churches because the pastor looks cool. They connect with him on a vibey level because he's vibey, and uh not realizing this guy is vibey, right? And he's a popular pastor. And what the problem with popular pastors is, you can't tell that dude no. You can't tell that dude you're wrong. Basically, it's hard to tell a pastor they're wrong anyways, but you gotta be careful of that crap. Okay. Um, am I done with the subject? Yes, let's move on. We are going into our third week of 2022. It is our third show of the year. I hope that you're doing well. I really, really do. because this country is not doing well. The country is struggling. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't gone to the grocery store and noticed that there's food missing, like that's kind of nerve wracking for me to go to the grocery store and be like, oh my gosh, there's no bread, or we're running out of supplies really fast. Is there new supplies coming in? And just it's weird. I've never been at a time like this. People blame COVID, and I don't think COVID is the major issue. I think COVID just pulls the trigger of the real issue. And when you have a president that, and I'm not, listen, I'm gonna say, when you have a president that talks like pastor President Biden talks, this is kind of scary. Let me know in the comment if you've heard this. This is he makes a couple of statements. First of all, Vice President Harris also made a statement that I don't want to get into too much, but when she uh, said that the January 6th insurrection that happened last year was equivalent or greater than Pearl Harbor, I was like, "Yo, really? That's crazy scary that we have people who think that what happened at the White House was more um greater or had more effect on people than Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor took out one third, almost one third of the world. It started a world war that took off almost one third of the world, killed off almost a third of our world. That's Pearl Harbor started something great, started one of the most scariest and probably one of the biggest wars that we've had in hundreds of years. And so I kind of give her a dismiss because I kind of see where she was going with it. So I'm going to give her a pass. But I don't know if I want to give Joe Biden a pass for this one. Let's go to President, excuse me, President Joe Biden.
To we have to give guidance, it seems to me, better guidance than we've been able to give. And so what I talk about here is Trump has basically had a one-point plan: open businesses, just open. But it does nothing to keep workers safe and keep businesses able to stay open. And secondly, it has done very little to generate consumer confidence.
Let me stop right there. And I'm not going to get political. I just want to point out that we're still blaming him. We're still blaming the last president. I just want to point that out. You have to get a loan to get gas in California. You have to, I know, I think our new Governor Newsom and new Nuisance, I should call him Governor Nuisance, has a lot to do with our gas prices. However, the inflation is up 5% in the last 10 days, up 5%. It's gone up 11% in the last 6 months, inflation, and people's income levels have not risen at all. And he's blaming Trump for that.
He's going down to Texas on Juneteenth, right? The first major massacre, literally speaking, of the Black Wall Street, right? Years ago. He's
That's
going to
scary.
have a rally.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
He's going to have a rally. And he does.
Also, I want to point out, I'll say my points to, I'll say my comments to the end.
Doesn't wear a mask, and he doesn't think this. I mean, come on. But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did.
What? Did you catch that? Let me play it again.
Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that can have a rally. And he doesn't wear a mask, and he doesn't think this. I mean, come on. But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did. Well, what happened to George Floyd.
That Dr. King's death didn't have the same level of impact as George Floyd's death. That's what he said.
Now you got how many people around the country? Millions of cell phones. It's changed the way everybody's looking at this. Look at the millions of people marching around the world. The world. So my point is that I think people are really realizing that this is a battle for the soul of America. Who are we?
I'm not political, dude. I'm not a political dude at all. That breaks my heart on so many levels. You just compared George Floyd to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Um, my biggest concern is, well, there's so many concerns. I know he's not. Yeah, I'm just as speechless as you if you're speechless. Uh, I can't imagine where you would think. I kind of get in context. Again, context is important. His point is how how vastly spread the news and the impact, meaning the media impact of George Floyd. That impact, yes, I get that. The media impact of George Floyd, but you're to take away to say that the death of George Floyd's the death of George Floyd had more of an impact on us as the death of Martin Luther King. First of all, those are two totally different individuals in two totally different time points in our history at two different types of cultures, killed for two totally different types of things. They stood for two totally different situations. Like George Floyd was fighting for George Floyd's life. Dr. Martin Luther King was fighting for everybody's life. So it's I don't understand why the president, the leader of the free world. Here's my thing that kind of takes me over the edge. And I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not. Okay. I he did some good things and then he did some bad things. Every president did some good things and they did some bad things. I personally feel if somebody had, from my first point of the show, if somebody had walked up to Donald Trump and said, give me your phone. You need to stop texting. What you just said is a very bad idea. What you're about to do is a very bad idea. To go and do a rally for your campaign and everybody thinks you're a racist, to do a campaign rally on Juneteenth, 2022 is a very bad idea. It's a very bad idea, right? It's like he's missing that element in his life. Most people are, as we can see. Michael Todd misses it. President Trump also misses it. There needed to be somebody who your one job was every time Trump posted something on Twitter, that dude's phone should just ding, 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 ding. Oh, I gotta get this fool off. Yeah, he posting again. Let me go stop him. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if that person was doing their job, we probably would have had another term by Trump because this dude Biden is not getting the job done, bro. Like his plan for 2022 is already falling apart, and we are on day 18. We are on day 18, and Californians ain't got no food. They can't pay for their rent. They can't pay their bill. And then let me add something else to you, ladies and gentlemen. I just finished working. Well, not done yet. I gotta sign it. But we were working on taxes for Heritage Park and my family and my taxes. Let me help you out, dude. All those discounts and all those tax credits and all those deductions that he gave us in 2020 was just to win the freaking election. That's all it was. Because guess what? You're going to have a real eye-opening experience when you file these taxes in 2021 because every deduction he gave the American people was a promise to get the vote. And in 2021, when you file these taxes from last year, guess what you're getting, people? You're getting absolutely nothing. I had to pay 10 times more in my taxes this year than I ever had before. That remember last year he signed the Affordable Act where he was like, okay, all the unemployment people, you don't have to pay taxes on the unemployment. Guess who you got to pay unemployment on next year? This April, you're going to pay the unemployment taxes if you didn't pay it. Like they did this to buy your vote. people, you need to wake up. They did it to buy your vote. Now he's telling us, he makes a statement and he takes the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and makes it minimal by telling us that the impact of George Floyd was greater than the impact of Dr. Martin Luther King. And there's never been anything by President Trump, Bush, Reagan, Clinton, and whoever that dude was when I was born, because I don't remember him. I thought it was Johnson. Somebody told me it was Ford. I don't remember who the president was before. I guess I could Google it and find out. But I've never been more angry or offended by what a president said than that point right there. Because you are taking the work of one man and you criminalized it and you made it match George Floyd. Now, hear me very clearly, people. There's no way in the world neither one of these two deaths or anybody's death of any kind should be dismissed. Every death, every time we lose an individual, whether it's Black, white, Latino, Asian, Indian, Middle Eastern, it doesn't matter. When we lose somebody, it should hurt everybody. We should never rejoice or demean the death of any individual. But what we should not do is start comparing the value and the worth and the magnitude of their life, right? To say that George Floyd had more, it's just a bad look. And you can hear, I hope that wasn't Vice President Harris that said in that clip. I don't know if you heard it. There's somebody, and it sounded like a Black woman. I'm just saying, because we know what our moms and our aunts sound like when they in church. That was of a sister. Okay, so please, if it was Vice President, I don't want to know who it was. I don't want to know who it was. I know somebody's gonna tell me later. I don't want to know who it was. But that was disturbing. We need to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. We need to wake up. We need to wake up. This is not cool. This is not cool. I don't know. Tell me what you think about it. Post it in the comment section. It's just not cool. Jimmy Carter, I think, was the president. Thank you, Anisha. Jimmy Carter. See, I thought that was Jimmy Carter too. Somebody told me it was Gerald Ford, but I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you, Anisha. That's why I thought it was no, I thought it was Lyndon B. Johnson. But I think you're right. It was Carter, because I believe he was a 70s president in the 70s. Yeah. So this is just, I feel torn. I feel this comment by President Joe Biden was very, I was born in 1977. And he should ask me what year I was born. I was born in 1977. She's going to figure it out. She's going to Google that and figure it out for me. That statement by Joe Biden was very disheartening, to say the least. Disheartening. But be wise, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to not be fooled. Don't get caught into this stuff. This stuff is the rabbit hole is going to dig deep. And it's funny because for the longest time we knew not to trust the government, not to trust congressmen. We just knew that they were deceitful individuals. Let me also say he made some statements about Jim Crow that was like ridiculous. He was talking about the law that's going into effect for voter. He's calling it voter discrimination, but some states are requiring people to show people your ID to vote, right? Hold on. You were right, Jimmy Carter. Thank you, Anisha. Some states are now requiring that you show ID, because this is all it is. This is all they're requiring, right, for voter. He's calling it voter suppression. And they're calling it racist, but what it really is requiring people to get identification to vote. That's what it is. I looked into it. I read into it. You can make an argument all you want. I read it. I looked into it. I even pulled up the law in Georgia and some of the other states and read it with a fine-tooth comb. They're not asking for anything but that you have an ID and you show the ID when you go to vote. That's all they're asking for. Now, they're calling it racist. I call it. First of all, let me just say this. I'm going to say this is just a personal opinion. This is my personal opinion. There's something wrong with you. You can't get an ID. There's just something wrong. I don't like it. I can't. I used to be in a world where people be like, I don't have my ID. What do you mean you don't have an ID, bro? You're 30. I lost my wallet. And go get another ID. It costs just, you don't have to have a driver's license. You just need an ID. It costs $35 to get an ID. Okay. Um, Anisha, me too. I vote for Kanye. Oh, I just couldn't do it. Me either. I get it. I get it. But they're asking for an ID. That's all they want. Get an ID. To me, to not have an ID is foolishness. Why would you not have an ID? If you are American born, go get an ID. I know it may be hard because you had to track down maybe birth certificates, stuff like that. But oh my gosh, at the end of the day, just to get an ID is $35. Prove that who you are, who you say you are. And to tell us, the American people, that that's racist, you're telling Black people across the country, you're too stupid to get an ID. That's what so that's how I take it. I take it that way, that you're telling us, I get you, KJ. I know. You'll be super right. I'm not surprised. I hear it all the time. I don't have my ID. I don't have my ID. Yeah, go get an ID though. Go get one. You got people saying we're going to lose our right to vote. How are they coming up with that conclusion? I don't know, because you don't have an ID. And listen, that's only in certain states. California, you can still walk in, and I don't even know. I think in California, I had to show my ID. I'm not sure. All the people who are on have been in California, so you should let me know. Did you have to show your ID to vote? I think I did. I'm not quite sure. Actually, or no, maybe I just had to tell them my address in the polling place. It's been a while since I voted in person, but I think you just said, but what Democrats are saying is that you're telling us that Blacks are too stupid to get an ID. That's what they're telling us. Because they're saying, what if they can't get one? What if they physically can't go get one? What if they don't understand the process? I actually heard a Democrat say, what if they don't have the understanding to get the ID? You're telling me that you think that we're stupid to the point where we can't get an ID? Like, what? Like, I'm not left or right. I honestly think people should be. Uh, um, you did show an ID. Okay, KJ said he did show an ID to vote. I thought so too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it works. I can't remember. I have voted, but I don't remember if I had to show my ID or just tell them I'm that guy right there. And they cross my name. I don't remember. But it's not a perfect situation. It's not. Listen, voting has never. I've gone to polling places and vote, and in my head, I'm like, this ain't the perfect situation. At the same time, they've already decided who the president is by the time California polls close anyway. So I'm not going to say if there's coercion or if there's cheating or whatever and whatnot. I'm just saying to make. And then here's the other side of it. You already won the election, right? The Democrats and listen, we had to get to the point where you have to now work. Like President Biden, Vice President Harris, I need you to work. I need you to figure this out. I need you to stop the inflation. Food prices are astronomical. Okay. Oil prices are devastating. Okay. There are countries in other worlds that want to wipe us off the planet America. And I don't need you to talk to me all day. I don't need to hear from you about what Trump is doing. He lost his job. We vote him out. He's gone. He's been gone for over a year. I don't want to talk about the insurrection anymore. I don't need no more musicals from the cast of Hamilton getting on your stage and doing performances. I don't need that. I don't need this wokeness. I need you to figure out how to stop a $4 gallon of milk to become $8. I need you to figure out the homelessness problem in this country. I need you to stop the rise of inflation and the deadpan of the American dollar. Like Americans are not making money. They're just not. People's salaries are staying exactly the same. I live in California, and most of the people who are on to that, I'm noticing we all live in California. I gotta go. I got 50 seconds. We live in California. The problem that we're having today, I want you to look at rent prices. They rent right now, my kid's place is locked in at $2,100 a month. That's Rancho Cucamonga. They're locked in at $2,100 a month. That was August of 2020. It is now January 2022. The neighbor's house is rent is $3,500. The poverty limit has now reached in California. Anybody making under $40,000 a year is now in poverty. $40,000. That's a lot of money, but in California, you make 40,000, you're in poverty. You can't even get a place now. The nice apartments that used to be like $1,100 are now $2,800 for a one-bedroom apartment in Rancho Cucamonga, and they actually do go up from there. I saw a place in Ontario that they were asking for 36, and I'm like, you lost your mind, like burn in hell. That was ridiculous. And but at the same time, people's incomes are not increasing. They're not going up. This is devastating. And the leader of the free world is comparing George Floyd to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I'll even go a little step further. I now watch, you know how you post stuff on social media and you see things like, oh, this is fact check. We fact checked it, especially when it was about COVID or vaccinations. When you post something about COVID or vaccinations, you get fact checked and you say, oh, well, we had to check the fact on this one. This may be misinformed information. Click this button for more information. They did it. If you watched yesterday, they did it to Dr. Martin Luther King post. They're discrediting Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'm telling you right now, there's something coming is brewing. They're going to attack and try to cancel him in the next 8 months. Watch. Anyways, I gotta go, man. I love you guys so much. Yo, check out heritageparkprod.com. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. We got some cool things happening. I am so excited because we are revamping all our apps. We're revamping all our streaming services, and we'll be everywhere, hopefully by the end of January. Right now, we're already on. We just added Amazon Fire. So if you have an Amazon Fire TV, type in HPTV and you get our streaming service. Roku, we've been on Roku, but that new app with a new look, we revamped the new look. It will be up at 11 a.m. tomorrow Pacific time. Even I got word right before that we have an Android and an Apple app, which should be up by tomorrow as well. We're just waiting for Apple TV, and when we're gonna make a big push to push all that stuff out. So make sure. Yeah, it's horrible, Anisha. But yeah, get out there and find our apps. Also, if you have any money left, support Heritage Park, man. You got 3 ways to give. You can go to Cash App, go to Heritage Grace, Venmo, Remind Merchant, or PayPal, HP. Make sure you put in the comments this is for Heritage Park. All money will go to Heritage Park. I promise you, because I just paid taxes on it, sucker, and we need to refurbish some money. Or you can text us at 848-207-2631. They've been trying. You're right, Doc. They've been trying to cancel Dr. King. Now they got videos and tapes and all kind of junk. So just continue to pray, my friends. Stay vigilant. Stay strong. Keep your head up. Everything will work out. Trust in God. And we got some. And again, we have some information coming up in the next couple of weeks. Here, you'll hear something. We got some plans going on for Heritage Grace. We're going to start doing a Gospel Circle. We'll talk a little bit about it next week. Next week, we'll be in Dallas. I will be hanging out with Carla. Josiah's going with me. We may have a couple other guests on there. Heidi Bosa's going to be with me too. And we're going to be, and Carla and Ivy will be back for that special episode. We're going to be live, semi-live in Dallas. So make sure you tune in next week for Epic Thoughts. God bless. Love you. Take care. Have a good one. Peace. Oh, it didn't end.